Stop visualizing what you want. Sit down, breathe, and listen carefully, because what I'm about to say in the next 60 seconds may undo 5 years of misapplied spiritual reading. Most people spend their entire lives visualizing success while their nervous system vibrates in a state of pure terror. They write affirmations on the mirror at 6 in the morning with a clenched jaw. They say, "I receive," with a knotted gut. They imagine the new car while their body trembles in fear of the bill due tomorrow, and then they are confused when nothing changes. They think they need more faith, more visualization, more vision boards hanging on the wall, more subliminal audios before sleep. The problem is that the universe, or the quantum field, or God, or the creative intelligence, choose the name, does not hear words. It only responds to one thing: the energetic signature of your body over the last 24 hours. And that signature is being generated by a brain that you think is a receiver of reality, but is actually a generator. The brain does not capture the world, it projects the world, and it is this inversion that no one told you about. It is this biological error that is blocking everything. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to break down 8 principles that Dolores Cannon, Neville Goddard, and modern neuroscientists of heart-brain coherence agree on point by point. Principles that, if you truly apply, will make you untouchable by scarcity, fear, and the judgment of others. Nothing else can affect you. But this only works if you understand the mechanism, and the mechanism starts here. Principle number 1. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything you call the world out there, traffic, the bank account, the relationship, the body in the mirror, is the sensory impression of an internal state that already existed beforehand. The external world is not the cause. It is the echo. It is the developed photograph of a film you have already played inside your head, inside your chest, inside your solar plexus, for weeks, months, years. When you wake up and look at the ceiling, and the first feeling that invades your body is, "Here we go again," that little sigh of defeat before you even get up, that is the script for the day. The entire day will obey that sigh. Not because the universe is cruel, but because your body has already sent the electromagnetic signal that will recruit exactly the events, people, and opportunities compatible with that frequency. You do not attract what you think, you attract what you are. And what you are on a biological level is the weighted average of the emotions you have felt in the last 72 hours. If that average was fear, contained irritation, low-level resentment, your electric field is calibrated to find more reasons to feel fear, irritation, and resentment, and it will find them. It always does. Principle number 2, the law of assumption. This here is surgical, so pay attention. Assumption is not desire. Assumption is not hope. Assumption is not politely asking the universe like someone sending an email to a manager. Assumption is internally assuming that something is already true, with the same naturalness with which you assume that the earth revolves around the sun. You don't wake up in the morning and hope that the earth keeps spinning. You simply know. That knowing, without doubt, without anxiety, without the need for proof, is the frequency of assumption. Most people confuse this with toxic positivity. It is not. Toxic positivity is denying the current reality. Assumption is ignoring the current reality as relevant data and operating from the state in which the desire has already been fulfilled. It is a biological difference, not a philosophical one. When you operate in assumption, your prefrontal cortex stops looking for evidence to the contrary. Your reticular activating system begins to filter reality, looking for confirmations of that assumption. And your body, finally, stops sabotaging. Principle number 3, the power of feeling, thought without. Emotion is a stone thrown into a vacuum. It doesn't reach anywhere. The transformative element, the one that effectively rewrites your biology and your field, is the emotion associated with an image. And here is the detail that 95% of people get wrong. They try to feel what they want to feel. They try to force gratitude. They try to manufacture joy. The body detects the fraud in 3 seconds. The heart detects the incoherence between facial expression and internal chemistry. And the electromagnetic signal goes out distorted. White noise instead of a clean transmission. Imagine a 34-year-old woman. She wakes up at 5:47 a.m., opens her gratitude journal, writes, I am grateful for the abundance that flows to me. And while her pen glides across the paper, her gut is knotted because she knows the credit card bill is due in 3 days and she has no way to pay it. That sentence written with that gut is a duplicated transmission. Half the message is abundance. The other half is, I am in imminent financial danger, and the field does not choose the pretty half. It responds to the older, more charged, more visceral half, which is fear. So she spends the entire day receiving subtle confirmations of scarcity. The bill she forgot, the client who cancelled, the car that made a strange noise, and she concludes, the law of attraction doesn't work for me. It does, it just doesn't work from the lips outward. It works from the vagus nerve into the field. And this is where I need to interrupt you with clinical honesty. You won't be able to fix this just by watching videos. I can explain the mechanism to you for 8 hours straight. I can give you all the references from Joe Dispenza, from Greg Braden, from Dolores Cannon, from Neville Goddard. And you will leave here inspired for 48 hours. By the 3rd day, your body, which has been addicted to cortisol for possibly 30 years, will pull you back to your baseline state. You will wake up with that tightness in your chest again. You will forget everything. You will go back to checking your balance with dread. You will start to doubt everything you heard. This is not a character flaw. This is neurobiology. The neural pathways you have reinforced for decades are wide highways. The new paths you are trying to build are trails in the brush. The brain always chooses the highway. Always. Unless you force a rewrite, and the rewrite only happens in a specific state of brain waves, theta, where the analytical mind shuts down and the subconscious becomes receptive. You don't access theta by reading. You don't access theta with willpower. You access theta with a guided protocol, repeated with precision, day after day until the body capitulates. You cannot think your way out of an emotional state. The state is older than thought. It is carved into the vagus nerve, into your breathing, into the way you sleep. That is why most people who try to apply the law of attraction on their own fail. They try to reprogram with the conscious mind a body that operates on a subconscious frequency. The Imunda Prosperidade Protocol was designed exactly for this bypass. 28 days to lower your brainwaves to theta before sleep and imprint the new financial identity directly into your biology without going through the resistance of the analytical mind. It's not a visualization course, it's not generic meditation, it's a state reprogramming system, day after day, until your body stops producing chemicals of scarcity. You move out of the identity of someone who chases money and embody the frequency of someone whom money seeks, spiritually, emotionally, financially. The link to access the Imunda Prosperidade Protocol is in the first comment pinned below this video. Open it now before your nervous system convinces you again that tomorrow is better. Imagination is the only human faculty that operates outside of linear time, and that is why it is the tool for rewriting destiny. Principle number 4, imagination and revision. The imagination isn't just for projecting the future, it's for re-editing the past. This is not a metaphor, this is neurological mechanics. Your brain does not distinguish at a biological level between a vivid memory of what happened and a scene reimagined with the same emotional intensity. The same neurons fire, the same hormones are released, the same energetic signature is recorded. If you spent your childhood hearing that money is hard to come by, that honest people are poor, that the rich are thieves, you don't just have a belief, you have a neurochemical scar. Every time money appears in your life, that scar is touched and your body releases a cocktail of fear, guilt and unworthiness. You will sabotage. You will spend it fast. You will throw away the opportunity. Not because you are stupid, because the scar is in charge. Revision works like this. You go back to that scene, but instead of reliving it as it happened, you rewrite it. The father who said money doesn't grow on trees now says in your imagination, with the same emotional intensity, money is energy, flow, and you were made to channel it. You feel it. You feel how it would have been to grow up hearing that. You redo this night after night in a state of deep relaxation, and the body slowly begins to treat the revised version as the primary memory. The scar closes. The reaction to money changes. This is not a trick. It is the way long-term memory is consolidated and deconsolidated, by the hippocampus during sleep. The window exists. Most people were just never taught how to use it. Principle number 5, detachment and persistence. Here lies a paradox that destroys 90% of spiritual seekers. You need to want it with enough intensity to sustain the image, and you need to not need it with enough intensity to avoid emitting desperation. How? It's not a technique. It's a state. It's the difference between the man who asks for a job in 10 interviews because he is hungry and the man who goes to the same interview because he is curious to get to know the company. Both say the same words, both use the same resume, but their electromagnetic fields are radically different, and the interviewer, even without knowing why, always chooses the second one, because the first emits, "Save me," and nobody wants to save anyone. The second emits, "I am whole," and everyone wants to associate with someone who is whole. Detachment is not indifference. Detachment is a trust so deeply rooted in the outcome that the body stops anxiously monitoring the signs. You have planted. You know. You don't dig up the seed every day to see if the root is forming. And persistence in the right context is not insisting on action. It is insisting on the state. It is returning to the feeling of already realized as many times as necessary, every day, without letting the old base state reinstall itself. Principle number 6, rest, gratitude, and the law of reversibility. This here is refined. The law of reversibility states the following. If a physical state produces a certain emotion, then deliberately generating that emotion produces the corresponding physical state. In other words, you don't need to wait to have money to feel rich. Feeling rich with all the body posture, the slower breathing, the relaxation of the shoulders, the generosity in small expenses, is what produces the circumstance of wealth. The feeling precedes the evidence. Always. Gratitude is the most powerful shortcut for this. Not the performative gratitude of someone who gives thanks on social media. The visceral gratitude for something that has not yet arrived in the physical world, but which already exists within you with such clarity that your body behaves as if it were already here. And rest, here is the contradiction that few teachers teach. Rest is the final proof. When you manage to sleep well in the midst of a crisis, without anxiety, without checking your phone at 3 in the morning, without making desperate plans you have already changed. The body only sleeps like this when it is safe. And when the body enters safety, the field changes. And when the field changes, reality adjusts. It is not magic, it is the physics of coherence. Principle number 7, the creative power of I am. This is the only statement that creates. Anything you place after I am is a sentence that the universe executes. Not because the universe is an app that obeys verbal commands, but because I am is how you name yourself internally. And this naming determines your emotional state, and your emotional state determines the field. When you say I am tired, you are not describing a state. You are summoning it. When you say I am anxious, you are identifying with anxiety as if it were your nature, and your obedient body begins to produce the chemicals of anxiety to confirm that identity. The brain requires internal coherence above all else. If you call yourself poor, your brain will sabotage opportunities for wealth to maintain coherence. If you call yourself a magnet for prosperity, and feel it, and sleep with it, and breathe it, your brain recruits compatible reality. Most people use I am about 100 times a day without realizing it, and each one of those times is an identity instruction sent to the subconscious. You are programming yourself 24 hours a day. The question is not whether you are programming. The question is, to which frequency? Principle number 8, application and absolute responsibility. Knowing is not enough. You have already known things. You have already read books. You have already watched videos like this one before, and your balance remains the same. This tells you one thing. Knowledge is the easy part. Application is the war. And the war happens at 3 points in the day. The moment you wake up, before picking up your phone, it is in this window that the frequency of your day is decided. The moment you look in the mirror, this is where your identity is confirmed or denied. And the moment before you fall asleep, this is where the subconscious receives its deepest programming in alpha waves dropping into theta, and any thought, any image, Any feeling that occupies this window is recorded with maximum force. If you spend these 3 moments on the old autopilot, nothing will change. If you occupy these 3 moments deliberately, with the image of the desire realized and the corresponding feeling, everything changes in 90 days. There is no magic. There is repetition in the right state. The responsibility is total. There is no one to blame. There is no childhood to hold accountable. There is no government, ex, mother, father, market, or luck. There is only the frequency your body has maintained over the last few months and the reality that this frequency has summoned. Painful? Yes. Liberating? Only if you can endure the truth. Because if you are the author, you can rewrite it. But this means you can never play the victim again. And most people prefer to be victims than to be authors. They prefer to have someone to blame than something to rewrite. You decide now whether you will continue to be a character in your life, or if you will take your place as the creator. You can close this video. Tomorrow morning your body will wake up with the same tightness in your chest. It will check your balance with the same dread. It will say, "I am tired," before even having coffee, and your day will obey. Or you can change your baseline neurological state tonight, before sleeping, during the window when the brain is most receptive. Biology is waiting for your instruction. The field is waiting for your coherence. Neither one will wait forever. If your body continues to contract while your mouth says, "I receive," use the Emo da Prosperidade protocol tonight. The link is in the first pinned comment. Comment now e eu escolho um novo estado. If you understand that reality responds to your body, not your words, this comment is not for engagement. It is an identity command that your own subconscious will read. Decide.